Okay, fascinating storyline here. We see how Indra, just because of his pride, he lost everything. We saw how when Brahaspati entered the assembly and Indra failed to show his respect, just in an instant, pretty much in an instant, Indra lost his consciousness and afterwards all the opulence. Brahaspati just disappeared from the scene, even though Indra recognized his mistake and then he repented. It just didn't matter. And then, because of disrespect for his spiritual master, Brahaspati, Indra as well as other demigods, they became very weak. It had been already pointed out that demons are actually weaker than the demigods. But the demons are stronger at this moment because of their respect for their spiritual master, Shukracharya. And because the spiritual master, Brahaspati, has neglected the demigods, they became powerless. And it was mentioned that we are all sort of sustained by the mercy of three factors. One is the mercy of the Brahmanas, or you can say qualified teachers. Second, the cows. And the third, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if we have proper faith and respect for these three personalities, then we can maintain strength in our position. And if there is any discrepancy in showing respect to any of these three, then havoc can happen. And that's what is being beautifully demonstrated here. So when the demigods lost their connection with the spiritual master, because he left the scene and practically disappeared from the scene, nowhere to be found. So the only recourse they had was to approach Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma also chastised them, and particularly Indra, that that you lost everything because you got defeated by all your enemies because you were just puffed up. You were just so much um, puffed up about your opulence that you lost all good fortune. And then Lord Brahma only suggested that you approach Viśvarūpa, who is the son of Twashta. Now we know that Viśvarūpa has this mixed sort of identity. Like on the father's side, the Brahmana lineage; on the mother's side, it's demoniac. So therefore, Viśvarūpa, internally, we are going to see that he has this sort of mixed disposition. And yet, Lord Brahma suggested, and therefore the demigods approach Viśvarūpa. So now Viśvarūpa, you can say, is going to act as the priest as well as the spiritual master for the sake of performing the sacrifice, which can somehow or other help them win over the demons, because the demons have attacked the demigods at this point, and the demigods have lost everything. And they were really, really in a shelterless position at this point. So they approached Viśvarūpa and approached by saying that, my dear Viśvarūpa, may there be all good fortune for you. We, the demigods, have come to your ashram as your guests. Please try to fulfill our desires according to the time, since we are on the level of your parents. So demigods, age-wise, they are much more senior to Viśvarūpa. Viśvarūpa is pretty young. And therefore, demigods are trying to coax him by saying that the highest duty of a son is to serve the parents. And therefore, so somehow or other, help us out. And so therefore, this statement is very important. The highest duty of a son, even though he has sons of his own, is to serve his parents. And what to speak of a son who is a brahmachari? So another side point you can keep in mind that you can see the demigods are considered to be mixed devotees. They are not pure devotees. And therefore, many a times they are always looking for somehow maintaining their opulence. It's not that they approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead for the sake of pleasing the Supreme Lord, but oftentimes they are very much interested in their own prowess and opulence, and therefore they are ready to do whatever is needed to maintain their position and power. And that's what we also see here. So they are begging Vishwarup that please mercifully fulfill our desires. So you can see, fulfill our desires. So demigods are not desireless. By relieving our distress through the strength of your austerities. So why Vishwarup is important? A Brahmana is powerful because of the Brahmana's austerities. Austerities make Brahmanas powerful. And therefore, in that sense, Vishwarup, although junior by age, he is superior because of austerities. Please fulfill our prayer. Since you are completely aware of the Supreme Brahman, you are a perfect Brahmana. And therefore, you are the spiritual master of all orders of life. We accept you as our spiritual master and director so that by the power of your austerity, we may easily defeat the enemies who have conquered us. So the demigods have a very clear motive. It's to get back their kingdom. They have lost everything. So Prabhupada writes in the purport number 32 how the demigods are driven by the specific need that one must approach a particular type of guru to execute a particular type of duty. Therefore, although Vishwarup was inferior to the demigods accepted him as their guru to conquer the demons. I find this 29th and 30th verse to be interesting because it is pointed out the Acharya, the spiritual master who teaches all the Vedic knowledge and gives initiation by offering the sacred thread, is the personification of all the Vedas. Similarly, a father personifies Lord Brahma, a brother, King Indra, a mother, planet Earth, and a sister, Mercy. So you can see a father, when we look up to our father, we can see that the father is the personification of Lord Brahma because through father we come into this world, right? A brother is signifying Lord Indra. In other words, one needs to carry as much respect that as one would carry for the demigod Indra. A mother, like we know that the planet Earth is referred to as mother, and likewise sister is personifying mercy. A guest personifies religious principles. An invited guest personifies the demigod Agni, and the living entities personify Lord Vishnu. So Vishate is the word that is used for Vishnu. In other words, Vishnu is someone who is pervading everything and everywhere. And therefore, all the living entities together, you can say, they are situated within Lord Vishnu. Therefore, all living entities personify Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada writes in that purport that according to the moral instructions of Chanakya Pandit, Atmavat Sarva Bhuteshu, one should observe all living entities to be on the same level as oneself. This means, so this is very similar to what Bible says, right? Love thy neighbor. This means that no one should be neglected as inferior. Because Paramatma is seated in everyone's body, everyone should be respected as a temple of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This verse describes the different ways in which one should respect a guru, a father, a brother, a sister, a guest, and so on. It's a wonderful verse to keep in mind that would, like when there are sometimes relationship issues and all, we can try to remind ourselves of this verse and in this way reinstate respect for various individuals. Okay. So being senior to Vishwarup in age, the demigods immediately counter any possible objection that Vishwarup may present in becoming their guru, because after all, demigods are so much dependent at this point on Viśvarūpa. So, they therefore say that do not fear criticism for being younger than us. Such etiquette does not apply in regard to Vedic mantras. Except in relationship to Vedic mantras, seniority is determined by age. So note very carefully. Except in relationship to Vedic mantras, seniority is determined by age. But one may offer respectful obeisances even to a younger person who is advanced in chanting Vedic mantras. Therefore, although you are junior in relationship to us, you may become our priest without hesitation. And in that purport, a purport to 33rd verse, Prabhupada writes, what is seniority? It does not matter whether one is a Brahmin, Shudra, Grihastha, or Sannyasi. This verse is also quoted in Bhagavad Gita 2.7, that Kiba Vipro, Kiba Nyashi, Shudra Kene Noy, Jai Krishna Tattva Vetta, Shai Guru Hoy. That's the verse that actually is being quoted here. These are all Vedic, all material designations. A spiritually advanced person has nothing to do with such designations. Therefore, if one is advanced in the science of Krishna consciousness, regardless of his position in human society, he may become a spiritual master. So in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada uses a little bit different, slightly different framing of that. He says, master in the science of Krishna consciousness. I always like to say MSKC. So master of science in Krishna consciousness, master of science of Krishna consciousness is what makes one eligible to become a spiritual master. And in that 2.7, Prabhupada quotes one more verse there, that that if one is qualified, one who is well versed in different Vedic scriptures, if one is not a Vaishnava, then one cannot be considered a guru. On the other hand, it's actually 2.8, I think. It's 2.8, not 2.7. 2.8, I believe. Yeah, 2.8. That's Shat Karma Nipuno Vipro Mantra Tantra Visharada Avaishnavo Guru Nasyad Vaishnavaha Shwapacho Guru. That a scholarly Brahman expert in all subjects of Vedic knowledge is unfit to become a spiritual master without being a Vaishnava, or expert, again, the same point, MSKC, master in the science of Krishna consciousness. You see that? Just above that verse, master in the science of Krishna consciousness, MSKC. Same thing, expert in the science of Krishna consciousness. But a person born in the family of a lower caste can become a spiritual master if he is a Vaishnava or Krishna conscious, coming from Padma Puran. So here, Viśvarūpa has been approached by demigods because of his austerities and because of his spiritual position, not so much his age. And demigods are totally dependent at this time to get back their kingdom. So for their own selfish need, they are pleading before Viśvarūpa. And we will see what happens next. This story has got a lot of twists and turns. So thank you very much for joining. We will continue.